Where are you addicted to suffering? And what's the new paradigm you are being invited to create where that suffering doesn't exist? In this video about the new moon at 2 degrees of Scorpio of October 25, 2022 and solar eclipse, I will share with you 3 tips to face your shadow. Hello, this is Esther Ciurana from Awakening with the Stars, and today I will talk about the solar eclipse that we have in Scorpio with the south node there. This is the 4th eclipse we have in the series of Taurus-Scorpio eclipses. We are in the Ecuador. We already had 3, we have 3 more left. And I talked about in my YouTube live that you can check out on the channel about how these upcoming eclipses remind me of the story of the skeleton woman in the book Women Who Run with the Wolves. Like each one of us is going to fish a skeleton in the area where the eclipse is happening for us. Because in your birth chart you have 12 houses, which represents 12 areas of your life. And depending on where Scorpio is for you, it's gonna fall in one house or another. And that is where you'll have this rebirth by entangling this skeleton and transforming it into a treasure. And so this skeleton is like, it's in the center in between running and chasing. It knows when it's the moment to die and when it's the moment to live. And it has a lot to do with loving without attachment and loving not only a certain person, but in the full meaning of the word. And so it's like it's asking us different questions. Like, in the one hand, are you running from life and getting stuck in pain and suffering? Or are you chasing life and holding on to past memories but not letting new life flow? And on the other hand, are you running from death because you are afraid of an end? Or are you chasing it and being addicted to past pain and to past memories that keep you in suffering? And this reminds me of a quote from Clarissa Pinkola Estés in this chapter of this book, where she asks, "What must I give more death to today in order to generate more life? What do I know should die, but I'm hesitant to allow to do so? What must die in me in order for me to love? What not beauty do I fear? Of what use is the power of the not beautiful to me today? What should die today? What should live? What life am I afraid to give birth to? If not now, when?" And so here are my 3 tips to face your shadow. The first one is that this new moon in Scorpio happens in conjunction to Venus. And the first tip is love it, love the shadow. And loving the shadow doesn't mean you have to fix it. Just accept it. That's how you heal, remembering there is nothing to heal. And this is how you take your power back, by loving your shadow. Because only then you can start making decisions out of freedom and not just repeating past patterns or responding to fear. And Scorpio knows a lot about that, because we really like to go into those places that are darker and then finding the beauty in it, illuminating it. And there is a lot of doctrine around this New Age idea that we have to be positive and so on. And of course we all want to have a good time, but it also generates a lot of resistance to these other parts of us that are not having a good time or are feeling something that it's not in this idea of what's correct or what's right. And that's precisely what blocks manifestation. And I got to discover this when I was in university, and I went through a lot of social anxiety. There was a point where I couldn't even leave the house, which later I discovered it has a lot to do with being an empath and being highly sensitive. That was actually a superpower, but in that moment it was mostly a challenge. And my main concern in that moment was like, I would never have a boyfriend because I was too shy. And then one day, a teacher of, I was taking a subject on Antonin Artaud, who talks about the concept of empower, which is very interesting as well to talk about this in this video. And the teacher asked us to do an essay about our fight. And I got inspired and I decided to write about that, about my social anxiety and about my challenges with relationships. And I remember I got taken by the emotion and was writing with all my intensity. And so I dropped all of that into the essay. And the end result was very beautiful. I actually got honors in that one. And in 1 week of giving it to the teacher, I met my first boyfriend. And this tells us a lot about this moment and manifestation, because our thought concept of empower is that there is power in these aspects that we usually marginate because they don't fit into society's definition of what's good or what's strong. But it actually takes a lot of power to embody that aspect without hiding it. It's also a lot like that song from the movie The Great Showman, This Is Me. It's also this idea. It actually talks about the shadow as well, that song. And so it's a lot about facing those most hidden or taboo or darker places in us and embracing them, transforming them, because that's what transforms them. And this is how we go from karma to dharma, which is purpose. Because everything has a purpose. Darkness has a purpose. It actually has a purpose of making the light shine brighter. So embrace that. Love it. Merge with it. Stop resisting it. And go from feeling powerless to realizing that you are powerful. The second tip is don't get attached to it. So love your shadow without attachment. Another thing that Scorpio is not so great at is letting go of the drama and the intensity, the extremes. Because the point of feeling it all is not to stay there and hang out in the bottom of the well, but then use that energy to give you impulse to reach the next level and stabilize in a new frequency. And to be able to do that, you need to release. And there is a lot of disempowering programming out there. It's very important to teach yourself to see it. Now it will become easier and easier to spot it. And Scorpio is very good at that as well, piercing through what's not true. Because your service to humanity is to bring light and joy and love to these shadow aspects, but raw and real, authentic, genuine joy. And to be able to connect with that essence, you need to peel what's not that first. And that's what we're doing now. But then don't get attached to the layers you are peeling, otherwise you just feel them but hold on to them and then keep into this attachment to suffering that we are so programmed into, because it's not true either. It's not that the more you suffer the better or something. It's not that. And in a way society gives kind of rewards for that, but it's not about that. You're not going to become free in that, because it will only disempower you and you will feel powerless, and then you will need something from the outside, and that's how you are easy to control. And so there is a lot of freedom in embracing the shadow and then letting it go. Don't hang on to it. To open to this new paradigm that is emerging. And so with Scorpio, it's a lot about becoming aware of your extremes. Are you either Do you take things too seriously, or you go more into the other side, more into avoidance? And so it's about facing the shadow, but not feeding it and then not getting out of there, getting trapped into the drama. Because in the astrology that I use in my readings, we see a chart that is the unconscious chart, and this moon, it goes into Virgo in the unconscious, and it has to do with releasing control. And it asks you, what have you been trusting blindly and giving away the control of your life? Because it's time to take your power back. And in this moment, there is a transfer of power. And first, to see the light, we'll have to see all of this that is becoming more and more obvious. The control we've been under, to the manipulation. And in this moment, it's super important not to get caught up into conspiracy theories and so on, because then we engage into the outside illusion and we don't realize that we're just becoming easier to control. The only way to release it and get into freedom again, which is our natural state, is to let go of that, not giving your attention to it, which is what feeds it more. And so it's about trusting yourself, which would represent Taurus, the opposite of Scorpio, and getting into this stillness, no matter what they are trying to test you with, and taking it more like a test instead of engaging with it. So not either going to one extreme of trusting too much, nor the other extreme of trying to run away from it and then realizing like the skeleton woman is just pursuing you. It is there for you to untangle your own mess instead of getting distracted with the outside mess, which is only a reflection of yours, and recovering what you've lost and what we have lost as a society as well. Because in Vedic astrology, this new moon would happen in Libra, and it's about recovering the balance. And that's why we are getting to see the imbalance that will come up for each one of us and in a society level as well, for us to be able to clear the mess. And the only way to clear the mess is going inside, becoming conscious of what did you lose on the way, and finding balance again within you. And so observe what is resurfacing for you and be bold to let it go. Know when it's time for death and when it's time for a new beginning, which it's completely related. You don't have one without the other. And so this mess is what will make space for the new, once it's clear, once you have released it, whatever it is for you. And the third tip is thank it and expand through it. The ruler of this new moon is Pluto, which is squaring the moon, the sun, and Venus. And it reminds me of this new series, Rings of Power, from the Lord of the Rings, where there is a kind of battle between light and darkness. And when we get caught up in the drama, it could go on forever. But the key here is to remember we created this game and that we can rewrite the script, because it's an illusion. Life is like a movie or a play, and at the end of the play you can see all the actors coming out and holding hands, the villains and the main, and they're all friends. I mean, it was just a play. And there's these people that when they see like the villain in a series or a show or something, that they get angry at them on the street or something, because they get confused, right? They see the movie or the series and they get angry at the character, but it's just a character. It's not, it's a role. It's not real. And when we do that, we get more and more in touch with who we really are as creators of the game. And this is a moment as well of more soul remembrance. If we are able to do this inner journey, to bring light to what's in the darkness, to love it, without getting attached to one side or the other, because they are all part of the same game, they keep the balance. And so it's like getting into no judgment, because in the summer, for example, it's great when you find a shadow from a tree to cool down, and vice versa. You just need a little light to illuminate a huge room that was in the dark before. And you can really see that the keyword here is power, and where we lost it and where we can reclaim it. So ask yourself, what is it for you? And if you get stuck at any point, we are so many awakened light workers that are here to hold your hand through it in this moment. So don't be afraid to walk in the dark and then shine. And if at some moment it's too much, you get help. You ask for help, either to your spirit guide or to someone else that can help you illuminate it and find answers and find the purpose of it. That will always give you the key, because it's what connects you to your soul in the heart. When you realize it was never about hurting you, so there's nothing you have to protect from. And then you can come back to the present and to love and to joy and to the light. Remembering that's the game. And we are creating a whole new game. And so to jump into this new paradigm, all realities that were part of the illusion we chose in the past are falling apart. For us to enjoy this new movie we are writing right now. And so remember, you are the creator, so choose your interpretation wisely. And with Pluto here, which represents Hades, the king of hell, we have an opportunity through this challenge to become bigger than the challenge, to shine brighter. And even if on a personal level can get difficult at some moments, on a soul level, this is going to expand us a lot, creating this rebirth where you cannot be the same person you are now, because the expanded version of you is here, ready, right now, to be embodied by you. So as Clarissa says, if not now, when? So are you ready to use all that energy that you spent creating your personal hell into creating your heaven on earth? Reach out if you want a reading of your charts through the website below. Check out my video about the preparation for the upcoming eclipses if you haven't watched it yet, and experience the guided meditation from it to help you shine bright. Be tuned for my new video about the dark night of the soul coming up. Have a great eclipse season, and I'll see you in the next video.